I'm Sudeepthi Dondapati. I'm here with you today to discuss another aspect of verbal English paper. In the previous classes, what we saw, it was all about verbal English paper, and even now we are going to continue with that same concept. That is, generally in English verbal paper or verbal English paper, all grammatical components and some other vocabulary elements are combined and asked for, to select and choose the answers, appropriate answers, so that it would test the ability of students in grammar as well as in vocabulary. So in that sequence, we've been dealing with all these verbal elements, English elements, components. So in those previous classes, we started off with vocabulary questions. So nearly 100 questions are all about vocabulary based, and among 100 questions, a few here and there questions are about this grammatical errors, or try to correct the options given, or try to spot the error, or try to spot the wrongly spelled word. Okay, so those are the questions we have been discussing all this while. Now, in today's class or in today's session, we are going to see a very important aspect of verbal English paper. So what is it component? Like different categories. Vocabulary is one category, grammar is one category, and again in grammar there are subcategories. We can name it as. What are those subcategories? One subcategory is name it as prepositions. Another subcategory, name that as articles. Another subcategory, name that as active passive voice. Another subcategory, you can name it as this kind of indirect and direct speech, and all these things. And importantly, another major subcategory, major component in verbal ability is sentence completion. Several questions are being asked on this sentence completion. So what is sentence completion, and how do you have to deal with it, and is it very important? If it's so, how are you going to tackle those sentence complete exercises or questions which comes under, or the questions that come under verbal English paper? Right, let's get started. Generally, you have to realize sentence completion problems. So problems means you can think it as questions. Okay, you can think problems as questions, English questions, which are used. Why do they ask the sentence completion questions? Is just to complete your sentential grammatical knowledge. Okay, to in order to display sentential grammatical knowledge. Okay, they are used. Questions are used to test your vocabulary skills, and reading ability. So now you must be wondering, why is that it becomes a test of vocabulary skill? Why? Because it also tests your vocabulary skills, because in the process of completing the sentence, you will have to choose appropriate words. And it could be, those words could be grammatical words or word meaning words. So that is why. So it could be anything. So sentence completion means that examiner or the paper setter might eliminate or omit any kind of word. Like it could be any vocabulary based word or any grammatical structure. So he just removes one part of it, or sometimes he might remove a complete phrase or a clause. And in such cases, whatever is that missing case, you don't have to be worried, or don't have to be worried and get tense. But if you can understand the context of the sentence, you can try for replacing that phrase with the appropriate or right phrase. Okay, so that is the intention. That is how you need to tackle it. It's just like, let me give you an example. It's like, David went for an important work. Okay, and he went for an important work in order to accomplish his task. He went for achieving his goal. In the process, he missed several significant things. He went for achieving his goals, and in the process, he missed important, important or significant details. So now, if the sentence is like that, then the examiner, removes one part of this sentence, like David went for dash his goal, and in the process, he missed out several significant things. So, if this is a sentence, and if this is the missed word, now how and the options are like this: A, achieve; B, success; C, reached; 4, concentrated. A, achieved; B, success; C, approached; D, focused or concentrated. So these are several options. So you have to find out which is the right word. He achieved. He went for accomplishing his goal. He went for achieving, or he went to achieve his goal, or anything is fine. Okay. So you can, in order to accomplish his task, he went and tried to achieve his goal. For achieving his goal, he tried to work hard. So this is how you need to replace certain words and missed sentences or missed words with the appropriate words given. So this is so easy. So how do you know that? It's like, there are several clues again. The only best clue I can give you is like to understand the context of the situation. So if you can understand, definitely you'll be able to crack it very easily, and if you are able to solve without any problem. Okay, so sentence completion problems are used to test your vocabulary skills and reading ability. Okay, so that is what. Next, each sentence contains one or two blanks. Each sentence contains one or two blanks. So, how these blanks are very much in sentence completion, because this is the only gap-filled exercise that will test the ability of your sentential knowledge or grammatical knowledge. So sometimes the sentence may contain more than one blank. Sometimes, like I said, David went for accomplishing his goal or achieving. Maybe this is only one type of blank given in the question. Whereas in the questions, like some different questions, they have more than one. Like in the first sentence, they have one gap. In the second sentence, again, there is another blank. So in that way, you have to focus, you have to realize that I have to understand the overall sense of the sentence. Okay. So each sentence contains one or two blanks. You are then presented with 4 options which may consist of words or phrases. This is the pattern of the question. Next, from these choices, you need to select the most appropriate. From these choices, you need to select the most appropriate or correct words or phrases. So you have to eliminate the odd man out, and you have to stick to the right one. To make the correct choice, you will need to able to understand the main idea of the sentence, the meaning of the words or the phrases, and the logical structure of the sentence. How is that it's posing a difficult question to all people who are trying to appear and take the exam? It's just because they do not understand several hints that are given in the paper or even in the. So as we discuss this class, we will try to discuss several hints and clues or strategies you can achieve and concentrate. Okay, so try to do that. Let's start. The sentence completion questions do not have any predefined technique to solve them. There is no predefined technique here. Like as and when you read the context of the sentence given, then only it will be very easier. It will be very clear for you to understand the context given, and only then you are able to guess the answer, right, appropriate answer. Next, however, certain steps can be followed in order to increase the odds in your favor to get the right answer. However, certain steps can be followed in order to increase the odds in your favor to get the. It's like you can cut down the odd man out. Okay, you can cut down the odd man out, and from there you can pick out. From there you can try to continue with the right options given. Okay. So first of all, pick out the odd man out. That is something irrelevant spluttering objectives, or irrelevant spluttering words, or irrelevant spluttering keywords, irrelevant spluttering grammatical components, irrelevant spluttering unnecessary or out of context words. You have to be mindful of that. That's the point here that we are discussing. So there is no predefined technique as such. Now let's discuss tips to solve sentence completion based questions. How we are going to solve sentence completion based questions. So these questions are basically based on synonyms, antonyms mostly. Can be pretty difficult to answer if the word is new or unheard of. See, this is the challenge. In case you do not know the word at all, in case you do not understand, in case you don't think about the word, or in case you never imagine that the word would come and fit into that, then you will have to face a problem, because that is completely unsuitable to the context given. So you have to find out generally whether it's a synonym or not, whether it is an antonym or not, or it is completely different or away from this vocabulary base. In such cases, there are certain tips or tricks that the student can use in order to increase her chances. So you can increase the chance of getting or hitting the right answer when, if you know some certain tricks and tips, so that you can directly go and choose the right option. So some common tips are here for you, right? Before looking, number one, what you have to do is, before looking at the answer choices, the student should think of a word that fits a sentence. So again, the appropriateness of the word. You have to think and worry about the right word. So what is the right word you can imagine, you can think about about that question in the given sentence. For example, the princess was popular. Okay, the princess was popular and loved throughout her kingdom, and not only this is the context. You can easily guess it. What is the question? The question is about the princess who was once very popular. Okay, who was very popular and loved. Also, she was loved throughout her kingdom, and then this is how her reputation is being told. Like, what is that? When she was loved and she was very famous, popular in her kingdom, throughout her kingdom, not only for what? Her physical beauty, but also for her dash. See, not only for her physical beauty, that means she's also equally, beautiful. Okay, that beauty is very much there, but then not only for that, but also for something else. So here you have to understand the contrast of it. Not only, this is the key phrase for you to identify, to understand the right word, right answer. How? It's just because of this contrast word that you are able to understand. That means not only physical beauty, means it is something that is a positive trait. Okay, physical beauty here, the context is all about the queen, and she was portrayed as a person who had all positive qualities. Okay, throughout her kingdom, she was popular and loved, not only for her physical beauty, but also for one what? Elegance. Again, elegance is to do with her, great, her style and grandeur and her, kind of like charm, all that. Okay, so A is elegance, B is honesty, and maybe she's, is also best known for her honesty, nature. Okay, so because she was very honest, she was well received and well acknowledged by the people during those times. Okay, so and this could be a positive trait of that princess. Okay, let us discuss this option once again after we complete option C and D. Next, let's think about option C, anger. That means, like, try to see she was popular and loved throughout her kingdom, not only for her physical, but also for her anger, because she was not loved for her anger. See, that is a contrast you have to realize. That means the clue is, like, in the first sentence, you can understand that she was popular and loved throughout her kingdom. That was a positive setup. You can see, right? So, and immediately you cannot jump to anger, which is a negative trait. So she was not only loved for her physical beauty, but also for her anger. Right. Arrogance. Again, she's arrogant. And of course, anger and arrogance both are, both belong to the same category. So you cannot think that it is a negative quality that may go as one of those answers. No, definitely it's not the answer. You have eliminated. So what are the odd words here? Anger, arrogance. And what are other two positive words? Even words, elegance and honesty. Elegance is more towards her beauty and physical charm, whereas honesty is to do with her character, her conduct. Okay, so because of this quality, she was well received, acknowledged, and loved throughout her kingdom. So what is the answer? Honesty. See, we can see that the sentence talk about the positive traits of the princess. The sentence talk about, okay, so this sentence talks about the positive traits of as I told you, sincerity or honesty is the positive trait. Also, it is evident enough that the blank is not pertaining to her physical appearance and is a quality of her nature, like, just like humility, honesty, kind, etc. Okay, thus, looking at the options, we can choose the answer to be honest. So obviously, honest is the right answer. Look for words and phrases in the text. Tells the students where the sentence is going. Look for keywords and phrases in the text. Tells the student where the sentence is going. So these keywords and phrases in the text are very good clues. Tells the student where the student is going. So you cannot understand if you don't focus on the keywords and phrases. So certain phrases are very useful. If the sentence is continuing along one line of the thought, then the student should look for a completion that carried the idea through. See, if it is continuing, if one thought is carried out in the in one line, then you have to look for the completion, whether the same thought is carried till the end or not. So this is the point that I'm trying to say. If suppose the text changes direction, suddenly there is a shift and midstream, then look for a completion. Then you have to understand and imagine the end will be a contrast. See, if the same condition, line or thought is carried from the beginning till the end, then the answer would be very easy, and you can see you can understand it very well. But if there is a sudden transition, that's where you have to find difficulty, right? You may find it very difficult. And some points, okay, this is how it shows, like, two things differ, contrast words, okay, shift, two things differ, right? In this type of sentence, like some contrasting sentences, we'll look for a word that has the opposite meaning, okay? Obviously, we will see if there is a contrast given, yet, though, although, however, yet, but, despite, although, however, Like if these are certain indicators, okay, so these indicators are given, obviously you have to look for a contrast answer. Definitely that will not be the same answer. Right, let us see one more question. Example, although the warring parties had settled a number of disputes, past experience made them to express optimism that the talks would be a success. Okay, although the warring parties had settled a number of disputes, past experiences made them to express optimism that the talks would be a success. Right, so you have to realize that where is the answer missing here. All the warring parties, what are these warring parties? They are generally the parties that solved, okay, is issues. Okay, they that solved issues. I mean, several war issues or wars. So, although the warring, that means a contrast is stated right in the brain. Even though the parties had settled a number of disputes, immediately the contrast answer should be expected. Past experiences made them to express optimism that the talks would be a success. So here they were not so much in the same expectation. So what are the options? A, rash. B, ambivalent. C, scornful. D, reticent. So rash is like, again, it is to do with more attitude. Ambivalent, which is very common. Scornful is a kind of like, hatred and not very much pleased. Reticent is something which they were hesitating. Okay, so this could be the answer. For example, let me confirm the answer with the explanation in this slide. In this sentence, what? In this warring, that means all these parties, though they settled a number of disputes in the past, now they don't carry the same kind of confidence, right? Situation, right? Present situations, and they were bit of kind of like they were hesitating to do it. So although sets up a contrast between what has occurred. See, that is what has happened, and now what are some issues. Success on some issues, what can be expected to occur success for the whole term. So you cannot say, although it's like that in the past, and they were hesitating to expect a success this time. Hence, the party are reluctant to express optimism. They were reluctant. Okay, so what is another synonym for reluctant? Definitely reticent, right? So here you have to know another synonym for the words given. Again, synonym, that is why it is more vocabulary testing exercise or task. Sentence completion test your vocabulary more than this grammar. So you have to be well versed with the vocabulary or word knowledge. Okay, so the common word reluctant is not offered as an answer choice, but we have a synonym which is reticent. Okay, so that is a reluctant is not the option given, but the synonym of that reluctant is given. That is reticent. These further explain what has already been said. Okay, so this is the sentence completion concept. So we will look for a word that has similar meaning. Okay, some common words, some keywords you can say in the sentence. Some of the common support indicators. What are the other indicators? And also, furthermore, likewise, moreover, etc. Also, furthermore, likewise. See, these are some more keywords you can think. These are supporting indicators, right? So you can understand by looking at these words, like they are furthermore, likewise, moreover. These are common indicators, and you can guess the answer very nicely, easily, in case you take a look at it. Now let's see. Travis is an opprobrious and speaker, equally caustic toward friend or foe. Okay, Travis is an opprobrious speaker, equally caustic. That means like, that context is again is talking about some kind of negative situation. Okay, so that is an appropriate, it's equally bad, and it is caustic towards that which is very much close to the same kind of bad behavior is shown towards a friend or foe. So now look at the options given. 1a, lofty. Lofty means what? Higher ideas. Vituperative is very negative. Means like somebody who is a criminal continuously does the same action, kind of abuse, all that, right? And retiring is nothing to do with kind of like withdraw, is something withdrawal of the activity that is already been going on. And laudatory is something to do more with praises. Okay, so lofty, vituperative, retiring, laudatory. So in this sentence, okay, and this is an opprobrious and speaker. See, and is an indicator that the missing adjective is what? Why this is Travis is an opprobrious, vituperative, right? Okay, and speaker. That is why the missing word is missing, and is given there. So that is very much similar to opprobrious. That so which is a negative word, right? So vituperative, which means only negative, which means abusive. So these words generally indicate one thing causes another to occur. So again, synonym based. So some effect indicators, or you have to know common cause and effect. Because of that, it is like this. As a result, this is. However, so these are all common cause and effect indicators. So because something has happened and this is the result. So cause and effect relationship is very much observed in that context. Okay, because of that situation, you have to realize this is the negative repercussion of it, right? So because of that, thus, for, therefore, hence, all that. These are cause and effect indicators. You have to be mindful of it. Right. Let's take another example. Because the House has the votes to override a presidential veto, the president has no choice but to dash. Because the House has the votes to override a presidential veto, the president has no choice but to. Like you have to fill in the gap with the appropriate word. Well, number one, object, because the House has the words to override. No, so and it is talking about the power of that presidential candidate, which he's left with no other option but to only what. So the and because the power is with what, the House that has votes to override more than this presidential power. So there is no other option for him other than what? A, object. B, abstain. C, capitulate. 4, compromise. So let us try these 4 options, whether these will fit in the right context. Object is what? It like you do not allow that person to continue, right? You object someone. B is abstain. That is like separation from. You abstain from. Be away from. Okay, being away from. Abstain. She has to abstain from that illegal, morally debased activities. So illegal activity. She has to be away from that. Capitulate. Okay, so it is very much kind of like bondage, which is captured over. Compromise is what you there is no other option, is just to accept and adjust whatever is a thing. So here the answer, like you can think, because the House has a words to pass the bill or motion. Bill or motion, both are different words. Bill is what? Motion is something that the idea is being talked in the parliament or in the House, whereas bill is the same rule that is in the form of a kind of it's like before motion is there, it's like the idea is there, it's before it is in motion, that means not being discussed thoroughly, then there is no existence of that. When once the idea is in motion, that means start being thinking, thought about it, and being understood. And when it comes to this bill implementation, then it's already on the paper and it's already being implemented, right? So that is what. So, words or phrases, you have to understand this type of words. He doesn't have any other option, because the house has more power to override presidential vote, and that is why the president has to what compromise without opposing them. So words or phrases in opposition are placed next to each other, and the second word or phrases defines, clarifies, gives evidence to the first word. So words or phrases in oppositions are placed next to each other, and the second word or phrase defines. Sometimes if the words or phrases in oppositions, although it's like that, and the ideas are expressed alongside of the first word, you can get a enough clue so that you will get the right answer. Example: his novels are. So there are something. This is the blank you have to fill. His novels are what? He dash. He uses a long circumlocution when a direct coupling of a simple subject and verb would be best. His novels are what? We are talking about his novels, the nature of his novels, right? What dash? You have to fill in the blank. He uses a circumlocution, long circumlocution idea or it when a direct coupling of a simple subject, when a direct coupling of a simple subject and verb would be the best. So instead of being direct coupling of a simple subject, that he complicates, and verb would be the best. Instead of it's like breaking down and simplifying the notion there. He talks about so much, like succinct. Okay, succinct is something which is very indirect and something which is not very easy to understand. Prolix, it's such a lengthy one. Prolix is a lengthy one. Vapid again. Vapid is to do with the dullness. Risk is what? Is again, it is not very favorable. Okay, succinct, prolix, vapid, risk. So prolix is what? A lengthy one. His novels are prolix. He uses a circumlocution, so very lengthy. He drags into different ideas. Okay, so that is something which is not very clear. So be prolix is something which is very long and lengthy. So what is the right option? It has no linking word. What? The sentence has no linking word, such as because or these linking indicators are not given. So the phrase following the semicolon is in opposition to the missing word. So because here you can see his novels are semicolon, so the missing is in opposite to to the missing word. He defines or further clarifies the missing word. That semicolon and the missing word will clarify definitely the ideas that are that are given in the consecutive lines. Now, writing filled with circumlocutions. What is this circumlocutions? Lengthy one. Okay, lengthy one, elaborative style is aptly described as prolix. That's the answer. While reading the sentence, this is another hint you have to remember. The student should look out for what? Adjectives. When you are writing it, when you are dealing it, you have to look at some adjectives, adverbs you have to look at, which give the idea of the sentence, right? After that, find out if the idea of the sentence is positive or negative, right? Find out if the idea is of proper sentence or not, is positive or negative. If words such as no, non, not, etc. are used, the ideas of the sentence, again, the idea that is used is negative. Okay, you have to find out the idea whether it is positive or not. Look at some indicators. Sometimes punctuations will give you many clues. Punctuations can divide the sentence into 2 or 3 parts. If the flow of the first part of the sentence is positive, then the second part is what? very negative. You have to understand the punctuation. That will give a very good clue. Then the blank must be negative to even follow the sentence. Okay, you can realize the fact that if the first part of the sentence is positive, if you understand the contrast indicator, then you can feel the second following word will be a negative contrasting word. Okay, so without any understanding of the question. Now look at the sentence. Because he did not want to appear, the dash, okay, the junior executive refused to dispute the board's decision, in spite of his belief that the decision would impair employee morale. Because he did not want to appear, the junior executive refused to dispute, okay, he refused to dispute the board's decision, in spite of his belief that the decision would, though the decision is not going to be very good, and though he knows that it would really impair employees' morale, but still he was very reluctant. Okay, number 1, A, contentious, B, indecisive, B, solicitous, D, steadfast. Okay, because he did not want to appear what? Okay, he did not want to appear what? Contentious, indecisive. Here, the junior executive refused to dispute. He did not want to appear indecisive. Okay, in terms of decision, he is not able to decide whether it is appropriate or not. The board's decision, in spite of his belief that the decision would impair, though he knows that the decision would really degrade employees' morale, but he did not want to appear what? Indecisive. Though he knows that that's not going to be very good option or judgment, but still he doesn't want to be a person who is very indecisive, not be able to is not be able to decide. Now let us try contentious. Is it like, is that the right option which you can think? Because he did not want to appear indecisive? No, that is something more. Why? Because it's not about indecisiveness, so the option is wrong. Now let us understand solicitous. Solicitous is again kind of like a it's kind of a serious thing that you can so you can pull out this solicitous out of the box. Like option C and D are gone because they're positive words. They're very positive. Okay, very calm, very serious. And steadfast. Steadfastness means what? That perseverance, kind of consistency. Okay, all that. Whereas two negative words, what are they? Contentious and indecisive. Now let's understand. We cannot use indecisive. Now we eliminated solicitous, steadfast. B also is not appropriate. That's what we said. We cannot use indecisive because the clue is refused to dispute. He was refused to dispute, which doesn't work with the indecisiveness. Okay, he was unwilling, he was reluctant to dispute with the candidate. Hence, the best contentious. Contentious is again, he was not very happy with it, and that's why he did not go for indecisiveness, but then he was contentious and he didn't want to appear contentious. The junior refused to dispute the board's decision. Okay, he doesn't want to be unfair totally. That is why he was willing to go ahead with the decision that has been taken up. Next, another hint for you is be flexible in handling multiple blank completions. You have to be flexible in handling what? Multiple blank completions. A completion for one blank might make sense in the context of the phrase or sentence in which it appears, yet not work in the context of the passage as a whole. Be flexible in handling multiple blank completions. Okay, you can try to choose one of the best, and you have to be flexible enough to choose. A completion for one blank might make sense in the context of the phrase or context which it appears, yet not work in that. Maybe you can think that is more suitable, but yet that will not be very suitable. Now let us understand this example. You will understand the idea. The attendees at the normally dash office Christmas party were delighted by the lavish decorations and dash atmosphere this year. The attendees at the normally dash office Christmas party were delighted by the lavish decorations and dash atmosphere this year. So normally what? For example, mundane and exuberant. What is this mundane? Mundane means like dull and usual type. And whereas exuberant is something very exciting and very high. Okay, entertaining and ornate. Entertaining is again, something which is very pleasant and ornated, kind of decorated. And that definitely modish one is no, it's not even litigious and monotonous. It's not completely the same old one, morose, stupidity. Okay, so we can understand, see, there seems to be a contrast between how the party was normally, and how it was this year. So you can say, earlier it used to be like that, generally it is like that, but now this year it is different. So the party is lavish this year, okay, more extravagant. It probably has been dull or boring in the past. Earlier, it was, the attendees at the normally mundane office Christmas party, dull, boring Christmas party, were delighted by lavish. This year they were more excited by the lavish decorations and exuberant atmosphere. So kind of like a change in this year's decoration celebration. So earlier it was not like this. So then the contrast is very much understood. See, so the party is lavish this year. What is the answer? Dull and exuberant, mundane and exuberant is the right answer. So this is how you have to solve the questions given below. You have to understand the context. See, there are confusing options. Mostly you can say synonyms and antonyms. Synonyms and antonyms are good. And another clue is, it's contrasting words. Only if you understand contrasting devices and contrast indicators, then you can guess the answers very easily without much difficulty. Right? So these are the questions I have for you this session, and hope you have understood these keys and the strategies and hints that I have suggested in the session. In the upcoming session, we will look at some more examples of sentence completion so that you will get clearer understanding and you will be able to solve them very easily. So practice these hints and try to solve more questions. Take 50, 100 per day. Practice 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Divide, increase the number. You'll be able to write easily. And what happens if you practice it, and if you're very good at, then you will be good at your comprehension level also. You'll be good at understand. You'll be good at, it's like, clarity of the message that you have planned for. Okay, so this is how you have to understand and solve the sentence completion questions for your placement exam, part of verbal English paper. So we will continue in the next session. Until then, bye.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.